Om Amriteshwariye Namaha. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Amma. I feel very proud to be a teacher standing on this Zoom platform today, as many of my students have passed national and international competitive PG entrance examinations with good ranking. Among them, 3 are joining us from US, UK, and CMC Vellore to guide their juniors and aspirants. For this event, on behalf of the Amrita Alumni Association, Kochi campus, I invite our respected medical director, Dr. Prem Nair, to preside over the function, and respected principal, Dr. Vishal Marvahas, to felicitate our alumni. Now I call upon yet another student of mine, Dr. Ramya Shenoy, to take over the proceedings.
Om Amriteshware Nama. Humble pranams to our beloved Amma. Once an Amritian, always an Amritian. And therefore, you require no invocation to be part of an event here. But it is my formal duty to welcome everyone who has joined us today. I'm Dr. Ramya Shenoy, alumna of 2008 batch. Let's move on to the proceedings by invoking the blessings of Amma. Alumni are the reflections of the institution from where they are molded as good, compassionate, and service-oriented citizens. When they venture out to the world of sheer competition, they stand apart from others. Our alumni are spread across the globe and playing a major role in fighting the pandemic. We are proud of you and wish all success in your future endeavors. We have with us 3 of our alumni who will share their tips to crack USMLE.PLAB, and NEET. I invite Dr. Devika, Assistant Professor of Pediatrics, who completed her undergraduation and post-graduation from Amrita Medicine, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramya, for that brief introduction. I am Dr. Devika, a proud alumni of this institute, and is currently working here as an assistant professor in Department of Pediatrics. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome each and everyone present here to this function today evening. I would like to start off by welcoming our medical director, Dr. Prem Nair sir, an eminent leader and the strength behind this institution. His idea of student centricity and academic excellence has ensured several developments for our institution. It is under his vision and hard work that today our medical college is ranked 7th in India by NRIF in 2020. I welcome you, sir, to this meeting. The essence of great leadership is influence and not authority. Our principal, Dr. Vishal Marva, sir, is an example of such a personality. We celebrate your leadership every day and you keep on influencing us, sir. We welcome you, sir, today to this event. One who puts their soul and heart in uplifting others attains dignity. Our alumni chief coordinator, Dr. P.G. Nair madam, is one such person. It is her constant effort and her hard work that makes her the pillar of strength of our alumni organization. And we have been fortunate to be trained under her during our undergraduate days. We welcome you, ma'am, to this event. Last but not the least, I sincerely welcome all my student friends who are attending this function through the Zoom platform. I hope you all will enjoy this program. We in this medical fraternity have all reached a point in our life after undergraduation where we are unsure of our careers. Our dreams and the hurdles that we have to overcome are constantly pulling us down. And someone who has already traveled this road once will be the best guide in such a situation. As American motivational speaker Jim Rohn once said, it is important to learn from your mistakes, but it is better to learn from other people's mistake, and best, to learn from other people's success. It accelerates your own success. It gives me immense pleasure and I feel elated to share that my fellow alumni have excelled at national and international platforms, and by doing so, we have uplifted the fame of our institution. I would like to welcome three such individuals today, the stars of today's program, the beacons of Amrita Alumni, who will be sharing with us their experience and the tips that they have to crack the exams that they have excelled in. Dr. Bharat Pillai is a student of 2013 MBBS batch. He is frequently among the top positions in his batch, including a gold medalist in internal medicine and general surgery. He also received the Institute's Award for Social Service for his voluntary work at Kumbh Mela Prayag in 2019, and he has matched adult neurology at UPMC Presbyterian Hospital, University of Pittsburgh in US, and is currently pursuing his studies there. Dr. Bharat has been kind enough to come over to our institution under the request of Dr. P.G. Nair. I welcome Dr. Bharat to this program and request him to share valuable points on how to crack the USMLE. Dr. Nisha Annie George is a student of 2012 MBBS batch. She is extremely athletic and has proven her excellence in this field. She was sports captain of her batch and was captain of our women's basketball team from 2014 to 2016. She cleared PLAB 1 and 2 in 2019 and MRCP 1 in 2020 and is currently working as registrar at Leicester Royal Infirmary and is going to pursue internal medicine in August 2021. She is joining us from the United Kingdom. I welcome Dr. Nisha to her program and request her to share her secrets about how to prime for PLAB and MRCP. Lastly, I would like to welcome Dr. Ajay Ashok. He is a student of 2013 MBBS. His excellent attitude is reflected in the work he does. He was the best outgoing student of 2013 and has achieved gold medal for academic excellence in anatomy, biochemistry, pathology, pharmacology, and ophthalmology. He is currently pursuing MD anesthesia at CMC Vellore, Tamil Nadu, and wishes to specialize further in pediatric anesthesia. He is currently joining us from CMC Vellore, Tamil Nadu. I welcome Dr. Ajay this evening and would like to hear from him the nuances of the NEET PG exam. Without much delay, I would request the Master of Ceremony, Dr. Remya, to take over the comparing. I do hope all of you find this meeting useful, informative, and productive. Thank you. Nam Shivaya.
Simple, unassuming person who is a Zen master at handling all situations, however difficult, with an unparalleled calm. I would like to invite our beloved and most respected medical director, Dr. Prem Nair, to deliver the presidential address. Welcome, sir, and over to you.
Thank you for having me this evening on a very important function of our Amrita Alumni Association of the Kochi campus. Colonel Dr. Vishal Marwaha, Dr. P.G. Nair, our beacons of Amrita Alumni, Dr. Bharat Pillai, Dr. Nisha Annie George, Dr. Ajay Ashok. Let me also welcome all of those, I welcome all of the delegates who are attending this function online. We do know that today Alumni Association have become a very important part of any university activity. Today, every student inquires as to what the quality of an institution is. Who are the alumni? What have they achieved? What kind of quality education does an institution provide? These are now routine questions, largely because we have a whole host of institutions that have cropped up in the thousands all over the country and all over the globe, so that there is an enormous amount of choice for our students today. So alumni relationships have become of great importance strategically to any kind of higher education in the domestic or the international sphere. Let me quote an important quote for an alumni organization An organization's alumni are a reflection of its past, a representation of its present, and a link to its future. In the old days, when I was growing up, the Alumni Association used to be completely separate from the institution. The two are totally separate. They never come together. The alumni have their own functions, their own parties, their own picnics, and their own get-togethers, and nothing much more than that. Today, it is very important to recognize that both the institution and the alumni stand to benefit from each other. They need to connect. They need to work together and support each other and help each other as they grow in their career. So it is important that the alumni engages and allows the university to benefit from the skills and experience of our graduates. And at the same time, the graduates benefit from the newer developments and facilities for advanced and continuing education. So this is extremely important. And so we are very glad that our illustrious alumni are, hello, our alumni are here today and are participating in mentorship of our students and giving them advice as to how best to proceed in their future career, both domestically as well as internationally. I wish them all success, and I wish all success to our own alumni here who are part of the delegates. I thank you all very much, and in particular, I would like to express my special thanks to Dr. P.G. Nair, who has been working long and hard behind the scenes to put this program together. Thank you, Dr. Nair.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. A wonderful human being, bold, energetic, enthusiastic, with a focus on holistic education. Dr. Colonel Vishal Marwa, Principal, Amrita School of Medicine. He needs no introduction. I invite you to address the gathering.
Welcome to the alumni, to all our students who are attending this function. I'm very happy that there will be some sharing of information occurring today, and I know the three speakers very well, very close to me. Bharat, Ajay, and Nisha, all are very close to me, and I've been in touch with them all through. Whatever scores they have got, whatever they have been doing, they have been communicating with me on WhatsApp. So very close to my heart, all of them. And I'm very glad that they'll be discussing, on this very, very important issue. See, it's a competitive world. I always tell my students, I have, from the time I came, I've been telling all of them to prepare for the PG entrance right from the beginning. It's not a 2020 match that you will prepare, the last minute and get through, because there's a very big country and, there's a lot of competition there. So be aware of that. Always look at your competitors. Then you will realize the amount of effort which is involved in, clearing these exams. And your first attempt and the second attempt, the first 2-3 are always the best, because you're fresh from your knowledge. As time passes by, it becomes even more difficult. So I won't take any further time, because the emphasis is on the speakers who will share their information. I wish you all the best for your exams next year and maybe the year after. And they're all there. You're always, they'll be very happy to help you. Take their help. It's always good to seek help. Wish you all the best.
Next, we have with us Dr. Ajay from the 2013 batch, currently doing his MD Anesthesia in CMC Vellore. He is going to throw some light on NEET and how to face the exam. He was the organizing secretary of SPUSH 2018, and he is a good scholar and an excellent leader. Over to you, Ajay.
So, good evening, everybody. It's a fond pleasure to be back with the Amrita family amidst these tough times. And I thank the administration and everybody who have put in their heart and soul behind this evening. Without much ado, let's get started with what we're planning to discuss today. This is a constant debate which runs through all of our minds as to what after MBBS. I think this was the same theme behind which the first version was organized. So I titled today's presentation as the Indian Tale. You're going to hear a US version and a UK version. So I put forth an Indian tale, as neat can get, and getting all set for any sets. So humble pranams to Amma for having given us this platform to do this evening's discussion with all of you. So the biggest debacle that runs through everyone's mind is whether India or whether abroad. So firstly, I would want all of us to put in our heart and soul to understand, to make this decision early on and to make this decision firm, clear, writing down the pros and the cons. So I thought I'll just put forth some things that run through my mind when this question was running through my head. So what are the advantages of doing it in India? So as you can see, we all like home and we all want to go back home. So as everything is clear, one very big advantage of doing it in India is home is anywhere near. That you can see. The second advantage of doing it in India is, as you can see, the large workload. Some people take this to be a disadvantage, but I am now pursuing post-graduation in an institute where there is absolute no dearth of patients. We get flooded with them, but still, what I see over this 1 year that I've done my first year of MD anesthesia at the Christian Medical College, Vellore, is that you perfect your skills and you learn more as you see more. You learn more only as you do more. So skills will never come to you until you keep working and fine tuning on them. The more patients you see, the more time you spend in clinical work, the better you become. And that is something that India would always give you as a backing. Dearth of patients would never be there if you do it in India. Number 3, when you compare an Indian exam, be it NEET or be it INICET or whatever nomenclature this whole term changes into in the coming years, it's anywhere easier than cracking your USMLE. May not be, it may be a little difficult than PLAB or at par with PLAB, but my personal opinions would say that it would definitely be easier than clearing a USMLE exam. So the advantages, as I would say, home is nearby, no dearth of patience, so you have enough scope to learn and master your knowledge, your skills, and your clinical aptitude. And your exam is at least a step easier. So what are the disadvantages of doing it in India? I've always told people who ask me, whenever you take a decision, please write down the pros and the cons to it. So one thing is work-life balance. That's something that we in India would never, ever understand. So we always think we keep working, toiling day in and day out. But still, there is a very big issue of work-life balance. When you finish a 36-hour shift and come back and have to start off your next day as well, it's not an easy game. But still, that's a question that you need to ask for yourself. Second is research work. India is way behind the Western world with regards to the research work. So India is way behind the Western world with regards to research work. But again, this is a question you need to ask for yourself with regards to which institution you take. Be it at Christian Medical College, Vellore, or Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, Kochi, or All India Institute, Delhi, or PGI, Chandigarh, or JIPMER. These institutes are the elite of the elite. Research work is not a dearth in these issues. So we are at par with the Western world with that. So the question of whether you don't have material to do research, you don't have guidance to do research is institutional based. And I can't put this as a broad disadvantage for doing it in India. Number 3, if you have a plan to go abroad, if you want to work abroad, then Indian degrees are not really valid abroad. You need to go and do your next set of exams there, clear them, and then master your professional aptitude there. So as far as Indian exams are concerned, you need to plan as to where you want to be in life. I know at the age of 22, when you clear off your final year of MBBS, these are tough decisions to take. But friends, that's all that we have in life. Tougher decisions by the day. So this is something I just Googled up today. So what is the competition with regards to a NEET PG exam? So it just says that about 1,74,000 people participating for just about some 30,000 odd seats. So that's about 21% of seats amongst the people that are participating. That is the competition that you are put through. So we'll start off from usual questions. I prefer people asking me questions at the end, and I prefer solving them out right there, because I don't think I'll be there till the right end of this whole thing, because I'll have to get back to the words. So let's start from preparation is the key, as everybody says. But the question is from where? So these are the bundle of sources that you have. You have Marrow, you have DAMS, you have Bhatia, you have ADR Plexus, and you have a bundle of books. So I'll restrict my discussion to what are the best sources, but I would not ever comment or authorize or what to say commercially or advertise commercially on any of these agencies, because I don't think it's right to do. These are my personal opinions, and I reserve them to be my personal opinions. So Marrow, DAMS, Bhatia, ADR Plexus, or the books. Let's negate things one by one and just take the dissection clear. Books, whether I do the bundle of books available in the market or not, frankly, friends, refrain from them. Why refrain from them? Because you have 19 whole subjects. Look at the volumes of those books. They are not updated, unlike what is mentioned on the first pages of those very books. So trying to learn questions which are way back about 25 years back in an odd entrance exam doesn't really have its relevance in today's exams. Today's exams in India are more clinically oriented. They are targeted to understanding and solving a clinical issue, unlike the bundle of facts that were there maybe about 3 years back. So I would say refrain from these books, because they still aren't updated with the new, updated with the old contents being thrown out of them. So refrain from books is one thing that I would give out as my personal opinion. Next, the second thing is the biggest doubts all over YouTube: Marrow or DAMS. Friends, they are the best faculty you can find anywhere, right? So whether you want to take up Marrow or whether you want to do DAMS is your personal choice. So I'll tell you what I would want to do or what I did. Okay. So Marrow is a platform, as you know, is a digital platform where videos are updated and uploaded, and you have a bundle of tests and series to follow. DAMS is a more liver class where it's a faculty who discusses with you, either currently through, because of COVID, through the virtual platform. So which is better is your personal choice. Whether you have the aptitude and skill to sit and make your own timetable and stick to them all through, go for Marrow. If you feel that there should be something that should drive you through, then go for a class, which would be DAMS or Bhatia or ADR Plexus, or as you name it. So the question is, can I merge two? Yes, you can. But the whole question and the onus lies on you, whether you can balance the time. So you just have about a year or a half. So I know I have a couple of my friends from CMC who are here as well. So you work as you practice. So the whole concept of balancing your work as well as your preparation is in your hands. So whether you want to, you can spend a fair deal of time looking at the videos and then make down your own notes. And after you make down your notes, which are the most valuable thing at the fag end of your preparation, attempt their grand test, which I'll come to later. So the source is on your hands. They're all the best. With regards to what I follow in each, you can contact me personally and I'll let you know. And I would not want to go about that on a public front. So how do I prepare for the exams? So this is something that I've told all my friends who ask me. Use a planner. You know you have 19 subjects. You know what is the distribution of marks. Allot them equally as per what you can. And put in the number of days available. Clock the number of hours you would. Separate them day-wise as to how many days you have for a subject. Never cross them, never shoot them. I tell this out of my personal experience. It's always good to learn from a person who has succeeded. It's always better to learn from a person who has failed and still succeeded. I think I fall in the second hand. So there was a time in my PG preparation where I really sat and kept hogging on and on with one subject and would never move on further. We would feel we need to achieve the heights of perfection with one, and we would not move further. That is not the way ahead, friends. When I finished my preparation and I look back, it's about how broad you know and how decently deep you know that matters for an Indian exam. So keep your days firm. Clock the number of hours judiciously. Be very clear that you will not clock more than that many hours as well. You will get exhausted, you will get tired, and you will feel frustrated. but just understand, plan your day as where you can balance both your studies as well as some time for yourself. Your mental health is very important, and it matters most of all. So this is something that I would share with you at the end. This is the Marrow planner, which you can use to plan the number of days you can clock for each subject. So the question is the second step. Okay, I've done my learning, but how do I know whether I'm right? The thing is, test yourself and introspect and change. This is a cycle that you need to go through. You need to plan about as to whether you start off with a grand test that is for 300, the whole 200, currently it's 200 questions. So 200 questions. See where where you actually lie. If you do it as per Marrow, or you use the online test series, you will get a whole they have the platform is so advanced that it tells you what your strong subjects are and what your weak subjects are, and how good you are in each, and how you progress through your phase of preparation. So what I would say is, this is a constant check. So when you give a grand test and you understand that these are your strong subjects, good. But you look at the last 3 week subjects, prepare on them such that by the next month, when you do the next grand test, you do them every month, by the way. When you go for the next grand test, you take the last 3 subjects and solve them first. That gives you an edge over your failures as self. It's not comparing yourself with the remaining. It's about how you challenge yourself and move further. So I know there's the whole thing about 19 subjects. So I would say you have another 19th book with you, where I would say after every grand test, write down the common topics that you make wrong. After 5 grand tests, you will understand you are making the same topics wrong. So you master those topics before you give the next grand test. So keep an additional notebook as your 19th notebook, where you write down your additional questions that you go wrong. Why I say 19? Certain short subjects that we can be combined together. So you have another 19th book where you write down your usual mistakes and you master them before you give the next grand test. Last but not the least, how do you cope the exam day? So I know this is a US senator who told these words. We debated long over the situation, for it is a difficult situation and all of us recognize it. But just like how Tom Hanks says, if it wasn't hard, everyone would have done it. And that's what makes it different, right? So yes, it is hard, but understand it's hard for everybody. So it's not hard just for you. As long as you've optimally stuck to your preparation track and you have been working with a fair deal of commitment to your own self, at the end of the day, you understand if it's hard for you, it's hard for everybody else. So don't just be bugged about one question or odd. Just keep going, finish it. And I understand one thing. There's a person above who knows a lot more than what we know about ourselves. And he or she can guide you further in life more than what you think of yourself. So with these words, with due respect to my alumni, Amrita, and with due respect to this institution, which I am currently a part on, I submit this presentation to all of you, and I open this for discussion. So I prefer questions being asked to me. And with regards to individual teachers and topics, you can ask me personally and get back to you personally. But then thanks a lot to everybody. And thanks a lot for calling me over. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay. If anybody wants to ask any question to Dr. Ajay, can ask right now.
Ma'am, can I?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Anushree. I would like to know, like, if the preparation for both USMLE and NEET PG, are they the same, or should we take it differently?
Okay, Ayushi. The question, I think you will get more clarity on that when Bharat finishes. But then as far as what I know, they are not the same. Okay, so they are miles apart, and you need to understand that they are different levels of exams, and both have their own pros and cons. So they are different. But I think you'll get more clarity on that when Bharat says. And I think at the end of that, if you still have a doubt, you can get back to me. Yeah, but as far as I know, they are different.
Okay, thank you, sir. I would also like to ask one more doubt.
Yes.
Do notes work better or flashcards are good? Because flashcards you can do like space repetition. So I've always wondered about that.
Okay. I'm very happy that someone is talking about stage repetition in a forum. I'm really happy that Amrita is this focused on its exams. Yes, Flashcards are better for staged repetitions, but that's more of a Western concept. In an Indian perspective, we have this innate ability to have memory. So understand that if you have your notes, you mark your notes. What I generally do, I have my notes and I double mark things which I know I'm going to come back to. So you won't have the time in 12 months to make flashcards over 19 subjects, because in USMLE, it's a staggered exam. But in India, that's not the case. You have the whole 19 subjects that is bluntly poured on you, and you need to do them. So you need to understand that you don't have the time to sit and make beautiful flashcards and read about it. So what I would suggest is mark your notes, go fast. Stage repetition is about repeating, not making sources to repeat. So how much you repeat on those sources, on and on and on, makes you better. So the onus lies again on you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
So, explain why you said NEET PG is more difficult. Sorry, USMLE is more difficult than NEET PG.
May I know who this is?
I'm Dev Krishnan, sir.
Yeah. So why USMLE is more difficult? You will understand that it doesn't end with just an exam. The curve to clear your USMLE includes a lot more, which again, I think Bharat would talk about. It's not just an exam. You have a lot more to gain to get a matching into the US. That's not the case in India. In India, it's about one exam, and you are judged with that one exam. Whether I got a gold medal or whether I'm proficient in my skills, whether I can put in an IV line, I'm telling you frankly, whether that's not going to be tested in an Indian exam. So understand that's not the case in a US exam. How I talk to my patient is of absolute no importance in an Indian exam. So you need to understand these are all things that make you a complete doctor, which unfortunately is not tested in an Indian exam. So whether you have your clinical aptitude and whether you have your clinical skill is not tested in an Indian exam, unlike what it is in the US. That is the reason why I grade a US exam to be a little more challenging compared to an Indian exam. With humble, what to say, respect for anyone who clears an Indian exam, because honestly, it is tough.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay. If there are no more questions, we'll move on to the next speaker.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll log out. I'll have to get back to the wards. So thank you so much, everybody. And any questions, you can get back to me at any time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajay. So next we have Dr. Nisha Annie George from the 2012 batch, who cleared PLAB in 2019 and MRCP Step 1 in 2020. She's currently working at the Leicester Royal Infirmary and is with us to discuss on how to prepare for PLAB and MRCP. She's an all-rounder, a good scholar, and an excellent sports enthusiast. She captained our basketball team during the 2014 to 2016 years. Over to you, Dr. Nisha.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to give this talk to you guys. Hopefully it'll be very useful. And I do want to say to Ajay, I think he's already left. He gave a really good talk, and I think he summarized a lot of good things as well. So getting to the UK, there are a couple of things that you need to understand about the UK before you come to the UK. But the big question is, as Ajay had mentioned, you need to think about why you want to go abroad, whether it's to the US, to the UK, anywhere else in the world, Australia, New Zealand, doesn't matter. You need to weigh the pros and cons. So for the UK, for example, healthcare is free. So say, for example, if I get admitted, I don't have to pay for anything. Food, investigations, treatment, surgeries, everything is free. The other important thing that Ajay had mentioned is work-life balance. That's always there whenever you go either to the US or to the UK, because that's a big thing of how a doctor performs, whether in work or collectively as a person. So that also includes annual leave. If you work extra, you get paid extra. Also, training opportunities are much better in the UK, also probably in the US as well, which means that if I train in the UK, I can pretty much go anywhere else in the world. So if I want to move, jump ship anytime in the future, I could probably do that too. Pay is also a really important thing. So all of that encompasses together is working in the UK. Now, these are the topics that I'm going to cover, which is pretty much how to attack or to go through each phases. The most important would be your 3, 4, and 5, which is PLAB examination, MRCP, and working on your portfolio or your CV, which is important in the US as well as in the UK. So that goes beyond just your examinations, it goes to publications, etc. I'll cover that later. First and foremost, and this is for advice if you want to give it to give your other friends, whether they come from a different college, you need to make sure that if you're coming into the UK, your medical college is recognized by the GMC, which is the General Medical Council for the UK. It's like the medical council for the UK. So lucky for us, Amrita is actually on that approved list. So I'm going to be talking about the two main career paths. One is PLAB, the other one is MRCP. MRCP is more for people who are either doing their PG right now or almost completing their PG. If they want to come to the UK, that's the path they would follow. If you're, for example, in final year, an intern, I would definitely recommend the PLAB route. Okay, so these are the two things that we'd like really focus on. The first exam you need to clear is your English exam, which is your IELTS or your OET. Your IELTS is essentially a little harder in the sense that it can give you any random topic or any random graph and you need to talk about it. So they really focus on your grammar, your English, how you phrase sentence, paragraphs, etc. Now the scores, these are the scores that you have to gain. And the overall score has to be 7.5, otherwise you will not be accepted into GMC. And also you won't be able to apply for your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2 subsequent exams. Your OET is the other pathway you can go for. It's more expensive than your IELTS exam, but it's very specific for healthcare workers. So in the context of, they don't look at your grammar per se, they just want to see if you can take a history, if you can communicate reasonably well, come up to a diagnosis. So that's what they look at. You need to score around 350 in each of those categories. Both the categories for both the exams are exactly the same. Okay. So the most important thing is for GMC registration, your IELTS has to be valid, so within the 2 years. So you have to apply for GMC with an IELTS of a 2-year duration, validity. So these are the scores, doesn't matter. Anyway, there are 4 routes in which you can come to the UK. One is PLAB, the other one is your post-graduation, so MRCP for, say, for example, internal medicine, MRCS if you're going for a more surgical route. There's a CSER pathway. This is also a pathway that you can take if, for example, you're a PG, and it's a much faster route, although very much more difficult than your MRCP to become a consultant in the UK. The other way is sponsorship, in which you apply for a job and a hospital will give you a sponsorship. So they'll give you a visa or help with your visa so you can come. The only disadvantage is the type of visa you come in with, you might not be able to apply for training. What that means is it's like applying for your PG training in the UK. So you might not be able to do that with that sponsorship or with that visa. So be very careful about that. I would personally not recommend your sponsorship, but I also think that's a good way to break into the system at least. Because once you come into the country, you've worked for at least a couple of months, you can always change your visa because most likely the hospital that you work with are most likely to sponsor you because they know how good you are. I would definitely recommend either path A, the first one or the second one, okay? So we'll break each one down. We'll go through PLAB first and then we'll go through MRCP, okay? So we've already spoken about your IELTS exam, then we'll go through PLAB. Now, PLAB 1 is like your theory exam. Most of it is like an MCQ, okay? And it's a 3-hour exam, and it's based on percentile. What that means is, if you have 100 people or 200 people who are writing this exam, if all of them do really well, the pass score also becomes high. Now, if all of them do really badly, the pass score comes down. So it depends on the group that attend or attempt the exam. Your pass rate is based on that. Now, it is very important that you understand that score does not matter. If you pass, you pass. So you can move on to the next level. So that's one big advantage. You only need around 2 to 3 months to prepare for this exam. And you can either go for one of two ways. Either you can go through academies, which is something like, you could say like DAMS, but for a UK version, or you can do it on your own with question banks. Exams are conducted in the UK, but in the UK, it happens every 4 months. Internationally, so there's places like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Dubai, India, that happens every 6 months. You can only apply through the GMC, and it can only happen after your English exam is, you've passed your English exam, okay? Then comes to PLAB 2. PLAB 2 is a little difficult because it's a subjective exam, okay? It's a practical-based exam. You'll have 20 stations, so you'll have to go physically into a room. There will be an actor who will act as a patient. So they assess you, and there'll be a consultant in the other corner. They'll assess you on how you conduct yourself, your communication, how good and precise you are with your history taking, diagnosis, just investigations and management. And say, for example, you'll have ethical issues or ethical scenarios as well. There'll be a patient or an actor who'll be very angry. How you compose yourself in that situation, they assess you on all of it, okay? There are 3 categories, like I said. Data gathering, that's pretty much your history taking. Interpersonal skills, how you are with your patient, that's very important, and how methodical you are with your management. There's a criteria for passing. You need to pass 11 out of the 18 stations, and you need to pass your minimum criteria for scoring. Again, in this, does not matter what your scores are. As long as you pass, you go in, okay? I definitely recommend that you go through an academy or a course because they consolidate all the information or all the cases that usually come up on a recurring theme so that it's easier for you to practice. Also, you'll be practicing with other people as well. So I think it really helps with your interpersonal skills and just thinking outside the square. Takes around 6 weeks to prepare, and you have to come to the UK for this, okay? It's either, the exam either happens in Manchester, London, or Cambridge, okay? And again, you can only apply for PLAB 2 after you've passed PLAB 1, okay? Now, in 2024, they're going to change your PLAB to USMLE. So it's going to be a little harder with PLAB 1 and PLAB 2, but the general gist, it's a very clinical situation for both PLAB 1 and PLAB 2 will be pretty much the same. So this is, I just wanted to summarize the passing rate for PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. They have been pretty much consistent throughout all the years, fairly reasonable. This year, the pass rate for PLAB 1 was a lot higher, so a lot of people didn't make PLAB 1, which is fine. You can always reattempt again. The advantage for PLAB as compared to USMLEs, if you pass, if you fail, you can always reattempt it. There's a certain set of attempts. You can make, I think, 4 attempts in a span of 2 years for PLAB 1. Okay, so we've covered all of that. Now, you've passed PLAB, what are you going to do next? Next, very important, is GMC registration. You need to apply for your GMC registration, and you need a few documents, okay? First, you need to pass or get through your MBBS degree, obviously, and you'll get a good standing certificate at the end once you've finished your MBBS. So putting all of that together is when you are going to get your full UK GMC registration. If you don't have the good standing or you haven't gotten through your internship, then you can only get a partial UK registration, okay? I understand for a lot of people, once they graduate from Amrita, they'll probably go to work, or they'll probably try attempt USMLE, or they'll probably try NEET before maybe they jump ships to try doing PLAB or coming to the UK, which is completely fine as long as you explain what you have been doing in the last 5 years. Even if you're writing exams, it doesn't matter. You need to explain that, okay? And once you've passed PLAB, you need to apply for a GMC registration within 2 years. The recent thing that's come up is if you've cleared your USMLE, you can also apply for your GMC registration. So that's something that's come up very, very recently. The next thing that this is very important, this is a clinical attachment. To explain this, it's like a USMLE version of an externship. So you come to the UK and you kind of go through a shadowing period in whichever department. Okay, and you can do it at any point, either during your attempting your PLAB 2 or just after you've passed PLAB 2. I definitely recommend after you've attempted PLAB 2. You will need to send your CV to a lot of the hospitals. It's a little difficult to get in because it depends on the hospital themselves. You will have a 4 to 6 week time period where you can understand the system, what the differences are, and how you can learn with a lot of your clinical skills. The important thing about this is, and I definitely recommend a clinical attachment, is because this is the best way to make contacts. Let me give you an example. Within the first week of me getting a clinical attachment, I got 2 job offers. One was for orthopedics, one was for medicine. Now, I was never interested in the surgical side, so I applied for my medicine job. So that way, it's really good. And the other thing is, this is a good opportunity for you to work on your portfolio. Portfolio, I will come to in a bit more detail, but this is the part of your CV that is very important when you're trying to apply for training. This is like your MD programs, internal medicine, ENT, surgery, whatever that may be, radiology. So this is like papers, publications, posters, etc. I'll come to that later, okay? So that's done. So you've gone through GMC registration, you've gone through a clinical attachment, which is like an externship where you get experience. Then everybody will go through a non-training job. What does that mean in an Indian setup, okay? That usually means it's either a JR post or an SR post in India. That's basically what it means. You can work in a specific department, but within the department, you'll have flexibility. For example, I'm currently working in internal medicine or acute medicine, that's what they call it in the UK. I have the opportunity to jump from one department to another. I don't have to, but I choose to. So I finished geriatrics, I finished infectious diseases, I finished acute medicine, and now I'm in cardiology and RESP. The next rotation I'll be having is probably renal. So these are the kind of things, so you get to learn a lot. Now, this is important when you go for an interview. I'll come to that, because it basically in the interview, you want to show the interviewer that you are very well-rounded and reasonably knowledgeable in majority of your departments or your specialties. Okay. Now, when you're applying for this job while you're working, this is a brilliant opportunity for you to work on your CV. Okay. There's also brilliant opportunity to consolidate your knowledge. Now, the reason why this is important is in Amrita, what I've felt is we're really, really cushioned. I'm not talking about like MD doctors and stuff, of course not. I'm talking more about interns. As interns, we're really cushioned. So to be able to apply what you've learned in the past 5.5 years, it's beautifully done in the UK because you are thrown pretty much into the deep end. There's a patient who's desaturating. You need to start working that patient up as to what you need to do from scratch. You may or may not get help or support from someone like a PG. You may or may not. So this is a great opportunity for you to learn and develop yourself as a doctor. There are a couple of other things that you'll also learn. For example, DNA CPR, do not resuscitate, is a very big thing here. They have discussions about this with families as well as patients. It's very difficult and it's something that we don't usually do in India, but it's something that's very common here. ITU escalation, so that's like ICU, when to escalate and when not to escalate. That's something I've learned when I've been working here. And that's a brilliant opportunity because once I become PG and go into super specialty training, a lot of the juniors, like interns, will rely on me to make decisions and those kind of calls. When to go into CPAP, NIV, brilliant opportunities. Also, I've learned to do LPs, ultrasound guided cannulations, which not a lot of people get a chance to do. If you're enthusiastic, you can really grow here. To apply for training as an MD, like MD degree or specialty training, you need to work for at least 3 months. Okay, so training posts. This is the same whether you're going for MRCP or through PLAB, it doesn't matter, it's pretty much the same. So this is pretty much like applying for MD or DM in India, okay? So you figure out what specialty you're interested in, whether it's infectious diseases, nephrology, gastro, whatever it is, okay? Your score is based on your portfolio. I know this is a recurring theme, I will come to it. This is very important. If you are in final year right now, if you are an intern right now, this, especially in Amrita, this is the best time for you to start putting all of this together because it's very competitive here. A lot of the UK graduates who've graduated from UK medical colleges, they have publications, they've got posters, and the ranking is based on that. The higher the rank, the better the opportunity. You can go to some of the top universities or teaching colleges or hospitals in the country if your rank is good. But that's obviously the same anywhere for you, USMLE, for NEET, anything. So you have a basic cutoff score, and that's to decide whether you get an interview or not. You'll go into the interview, you will have a panel of consultants. They will assess you based on your portfolio. They'll ask you some clinical questions. They want to see, are you a safe doctor? How good your clinical judgment is, and how good you are at consolidating all your knowledge into coming down to differentials, investigations, and how you would potentially manage. Then based on the interview score and your portfolio, they'll add all of it together, and then they'll rank you, and that's how you get into training, and that also decides where you get into. You can go to London, you can go to Leeds, you can go to a lot of the top teaching colleges in the country based on your rank. So that's PLAB side of it done, okay? Now let's go on to portfolio. This is what I've been drumming into all of you, portfolio, portfolio, portfolio. Now this is very, very important in your career in the UK. This is not just now after you've got into PLAB, this is also after you get into your MD, and then when you're also applying into DM, all of this matters, okay? So fortunately or unfortunately, there are undergraduate degrees. So this is, your medicine is not counted. So any degree that you've done previously. So for me, prior to coming to Amrita, I actually did a biomedical science degree. So I get additional scores for that. Postgraduate degree is either your PhD or master's. So currently I'm doing my master's in infectious diseases because that's the field I'm interested in, super specialty. Then things like awards, prizes. So if you get distinction in like first year, second year, third year, fourth year, all that matters. Whether you get a national level award in medicine, has to be in medicine, obviously, you'll get like a certain set of points. Presentations, so this can be poster presentations or oral presentations. The score is dependent on whether it's a national level or international level. Please remember that oral presentations in international level score much, much higher than poster presentations, okay? The next is publications. Very important, you either have to be a first author or a co-author to get the maximum number of scores. And hopefully it's a PubMed publication. If you are an author, so not like the first or a co-author, but like the third or fourth or whatever, that limits your score. So you'll probably only get like 1 or 2 points. So these are the things that you need to really remember. And with publications, they're not looking at case reports because it's very easy to write case reports. They're looking at original research. Then also teaching experience. So if you have taught a subject or in medicine, anything for 3 months and you have feedback, that is going to give you the maximum score. So for me, I was very lucky because I got an opportunity from Amrita. While I was working in the UK, I got a chance to teach a lot of final year medical students on Zoom. So I used to take classes pretty much every week for like 3 months, and I got their feedback as well. So that gave me maximum number of points. Then training in teaching, which is either master's or diploma in teaching. So as you can see in the UK, they really focus on not just doing your MBBS, but doing other things, PhD, masters, all that kind of stuff. The other very important thing is doing audits, okay? This can be very simple audits. What it really means is you find a fault in a system. You make allocations, or you come up with solutions. So this is the problem I have identified. This is the solution. I have implemented the solution, and let's see how the problem has been solved. Okay. So say, for example, I'll give you a very, very simple example. Augmentin. Okay. Augmentin is an antibiotic orally that you give. You should technically be giving it 3 times a day. Okay. 3 times a day for like 5 days, whether it's a UTI or LRTI or whatever. If, say, for example, a lot of doctors don't know about this, the problem is a lot of them are giving only Augmentin oral tablets for once a day for 3 days. That's the problem you've identified. What is the solution? You have educational classes, or you have a flow chart that you can kind of make. You implement that. And then you see how many people are making the same mistakes, or how many people have improved. So say, for example, you'll have 10 people who made the mistakes. After you've implemented your solution, it's come down to now 2 people make the mistake. So that is your audit. Like, you have made an improvement. So that's the kind of stuff that they're looking for. The other thing is leadership. What you have done in a leadership role at a national level or a local level, and this has to be for 6 months. So all of these things compile together to give you a point system. And that's how you get your ranking. That's how you get your interview first, and then that's how you get your ranking. So all these things are very important, okay? Now we'll go through your MRCP or MRCS pathway. S for surgery, P for physicians, okay? So MRCP part 1 and part 2 is an MCQ based, and PACES is your practical based. You need to pass all these different parts to become an SR equivalent in the UK. If you only do half of it, there's absolutely no point. Majority of the people in the UK study on their own. Okay, you do it in your own time. You have to juggle work, family, whatever it is, and you use question banks and you use books. You need to finish MRCP to be able to apply for DM. So this is for all your PGs right now. You need to finish your MRCP for you to be able to apply for, say, nephrology, gastro, whatever else you want to apply for. So that's very important. You don't need to, so in the UK, they have this concept where once you get into MD, that's when you start doing your MRCP. I always recommend that you start your MRCP early. So even after you've done PLAB, or whilst you're doing PLAB, you can easily write your MRCP part 1 and part 2, provided you want to do medicine, like internal medicine. Because 1, it's really good on your portfolio. It doesn't come for points, but the interviewers will take that into consideration because that's showing commitment to your specialty. That's 1. 2 is also, it gives you time to start working on what you want in your super specialty. So say, for example, you finish your MRCP and you're still doing your MD medicine. In your MD medicine time, you can do, say, for example, if I'm interested in infectious diseases, I can do an audit, poster, publications, all in infectious diseases, so that when I apply for my super specialty, my CV shows that I am so committed to my specialty that I've done everything, that all the checklist in infectious diseases. So my audit can be about, so infectious diseases also caters to antibiotics, obviously. So I can do an audit in antibiotics. So that can all kind of push for my application to be much better than a lot of other people who apply. So think about that. MRCS, that's the surgery part of it. You have part A, part B. Again, MCQ, practicals. You have to pass both. You do it in your own time. And again, MRCS, you need to apply, you need to clear to get your DM equivalent. So this is like neurosurgery, ENT, that kind of stuff. So thank you so much. If you want this presentation, I can always email it to you. Just email me and I will send this to you. So everything is pretty much broken down in a flowchart format. If you contact me through my email, any questions that you guys want, I can also answer on a one-to-one basis. Is not a problem. Does anybody have any questions right now that they want to ask? Or not?
Thank you, Dr. Nisha. If anybody is having any questions for Dr. Nisha, you can ask right away.
Yes, ma'am. Could I ask a question?
Yeah,
Sure.
go for it.
Okay. Ma'am, do we have to take MRCP if we are taking PLAB, or like is that just for like super specialty?
No, you don't have to take MRCP while you're doing PLAB. It's completely okay for you to focus just on PLAB. That's not a problem. The only reason why I say that it's always good to do MRCP and PLAB together is because you're trying to tick boxes faster. The reason why I'm saying this is because one of my really good friends, he's like, for us as interns, he's finished, he's doing his internship now, but he's almost done with his MRCP part 2. So when he applies for, say, MD medicine, or when he applies for MD medicine, people are going to look at his CV and be like, wow, you know, this kid is smart, you know, tick points. So I think it's more to push your CV, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to get into MD medicine. You don't want to waste your time just going into a non-training job, because you're not going to progress in your life. This is like being a JR or an SR, 5 years, you're never going to be a consultant, because you need to progress up in your career, right? So I personally, if you feel like you can handle MRCP with PLAB, definitely do it. If you can't, that's not a problem. You focus on your PLAB, okay? Get into the country, start working, and then you can always do the rest later. It's not a problem.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm Brinda Misha. I did my MBBS from Amrita 2014 batch.
Yeah, I remember you. Hi.
Yeah, hi. So I'm currently doing pediatrics in Kerala. And I gave my MRCP-CH currently first year, and I gave my MRCP-CH, I think, part 1A and B. So I have 2 more parts. So my doubt is, once I've cleared the MRCP-CH and then I get into UK, is it the non-training job that I get first, or is it, or can I, again the non-training job, yeah?
Non-training job. I definitely recommend that you do at least a year of non-training job. There's a lot of things that is different in the UK that I think you, not just for pediatrics, for any specialty, that you need to learn. Once it's easy to pick up, but once you feel comfortable doing your work and you're comfortable with the system, they've got a lot of things. Like, for example, in geriatrics, they have this concept of having carers. So these are people that come to your house and they take care of you. They'll feed you, they'll give you your medications, they'll cook for you. This is for the elderly people. So these are things that you need to be aware of, which we don't have in India. Once you're in the system, you learn about all these things. And then when you apply for training, it'll be a lot easier, because you'll be able to blend in with the rest of the UK, I guess, people when you're going for the interview.
Okay, so it's more about knowing the system, yeah?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Another doubt I had is, for the MRCP-CH, do we need to give our IELTS?
No, you don't need to give your IELTS for your MRCP-CH. You need your IELTS to get a visa and for your GMC registration. That's why you need your IELTS, because they need to know that you'll be able to cope in the UK.
Okay, so after giving the MRCP-CH, I'll have to give my IELTS for the registration, yeah?
Exactly, that is correct.
Okay, and another thing about, you talked about improving the portfolio.
Yes.
Since I'm in India, I'm doing my MD here. Like audits and all, is it there here, or how common is it to get, to do these things?
It is definitely common in India. Okay, when I say in India, in the sense, if you're in a college where they don't have audits, or they've never heard of audits, you can always make an audit. Reason why I'm saying is because in Amrita, there was no audits, was never really a thing that was happening there. My husband actually did an audit. He manufactured an idea and executed it through internal medicine, like general medicine when he was doing it. So he got that little tick box. You just need to do something and then have proof. For everything, you need a letter, by the way. So if you've done an audit, you need a letter. If you've done teaching for 3 months, you need a letter. Whatever it is, you need a letter. So if you do it, the reason why I'm telling you this is because when you come to the interview stage, when you go for DM, the interviewers will ask you in detail about all the things that you've done, whether it's a paper, whether it's an audit, whether it's your dissertation. After your MD, you'll have your thesis. They'll ask you these questions only because they want to start picking out the people who've genuinely worked for it versus people who just put their name on it.
Another thing, like you mentioned about the teaching program, so me teaching my interns or taking classes to the interns or my juniors, and if I have proof for that, does that count?
Yes, that is definitely counted. Make sure that it is regular. There's a criteria for your teaching to score the highest points. You need to be, say for example, it has to be once a week for every week, or once in 2 weeks for every 2 weeks for 3 months. It has to be regular. It can't be just one class in like 4 months, in like 4 weeks. That's not counted. I mean, that is counted. You will get like much lower score. So instead of getting 6 points, you might only get 2 points.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Excuse me, ma'am. I also had a doubt.
Shrikant, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, tell me.
Ma'am, so supposedly once I get in through the PLAB route and I complete my specialty, and for some reason I want to come back to India and practice, would I still be able to practice that specialty here?
The answer to that question is technically yes, but I think the rules, I think you might need to check about the rules though. Because I think there's something that you might need to double check this, because I think there's a criteria that if you come from abroad to India, you'll need to do another set of exams, or you need to. Sorry? Okay, you need to do a set of exams. So you might need to clarify, but as a general rule of thumb, yes, you should be able to. The other thing is the practice in the UK to practice in India is different. So going back to India with your UK training, even though you will get much better pay, you'll have to adapt to the Indian system again. But yes, you can definitely do your MRCP training, become a consultant here and move to India. I think the liver surgeon, hepatologist, Dr. Sudhindran sir, I think he trained in the UK and then he's now in Amrita. So yes, it's definitely possible.
Thank you, ma'am.
Not a problem. Any other questions?
Hello.
Yeah, tell me, Anjali. Okay, yeah. Anybody?
Ma'am, do we have to prepare for a PLAB during our MBBS, or is it?
Yes,
like...
I would definitely recommend that because you don't waste time. It is going to be difficult because I know how the hours are. You'll have to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. After all the work is done, you'll come back only by 7 or 8. But I genuinely recommend that the sooner you get started with your PLAB preparations, the shorter the time is to get everything else done. So you'll get through PLAB 2 faster, you'll get into your clinical attachment, then your job, then your training faster. So you're not wasting time. The reason why I'm telling you this is I don't want you to think or feel that, like you have to, a year has gone by and you're just starting your career. You can easily shorten that down. It doesn't mean that you have to do PLAB when you're during your internship. You can easily graduate from internship and then start. It's not a problem. So many people have done it. I've done that. But I would definitely recommend if you can start early, the better.
And also,
Yeah.
like you said, a lot of things to include in our portfolio.
Yeah.
Is there anything else which we should add to make it stand out? Because everyone would try to do the same thing, right?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I agree. That's a very good point. Problem is, not everyone does. So, for example, it's interesting because I was just having a big, long discussion with a friend of mine who studied in the UK. UK graduates, even though they know about the system, they know everything what needs to be done, not everyone do it. So for example, getting publications from Amrita, it's a huge blessing and I'm very, very grateful. It's a really good thing. It's a little easier to get papers, research done because Amrita has a huge kind of like a database of a lot of things, whether it's genetics, cardiology, pediatrics, whatever it may, got a huge pool to kind of, choose from. So getting a paper done, getting your research done, getting it published is a lot easier than doing it in the UK. Because the patient volume is not that big. And to get research ready, to get all the paperwork and stuff ready is a lot more difficult here. And you need a consultant who is willing to help you. A lot of them are good, but a lot of the responsibility falls on you. So guidance when it comes to publications might be a little difficult in the UK compared to like Amrita. So a lot of people don't have publications. Doing oral presentations or poster presentations is a lot tougher here. So even though everybody knows what you're supposed to do, people don't do it. That's the basic point. Or they don't do enough of it. So, for example, I'll tell you. Say, for example, you and I both apply for MD, medicine or surgery or whatever. You have 3 publications in which you are the first author. I only have 1 publication, but I'm like the 3rd author. We both have published something, but the standard is different. Do you get what I mean? Not everyone is going to be your first author in a paper. Not everyone is going to be a co-author in a paper. They might have a name on a paper, but that might only be 2 points. Whereas you, because you're the first author or co-author, you might get more points. Or if it's in PubMed, for example, you will probably get like 6 points. You will only come to 8 points if you have 2 or more PubMed publications, with you being the first or co-author. So there's like criterias that you need to kind of sieve through to see how you can maximize points.
So next we have with us Dr. Bharat Pillai from the 2013 batch, who is currently associated with the UPMC Presbyterian Hospital, University of Pittsburgh. He has come to his alma mater to give a few tips on how to crack USMLE. He was one among the 93rd percentile in USMLE Step 1 and 94th percentile in Step 2. He has 8 publications and 2 international conference posters to his name. Over to you, Dr. Bharat.
Okay, so hi everyone, good evening. Thank you for joining me here this evening. I have about 15 minutes or so to quickly go through an overview of the USMLE, how to kind of approach the journey, what are the little nuances to cracking the exams and finally matching in the US. So thank you for attending this again. I'm just going to pull my PowerPoint up real quick and then maybe we could begin. So in a nutshell, we are IMGs for the US system, right? So we are international medical graduates, which are basically of 2 types. There's a US IMG and a non-US IMG. A US IMG is anyone who has a green card, which by default means that they don't require a visa sponsorship. And then there are people like me who need a visa sponsorship. So it's slightly more harder for us. So skeleton. There's an interview cycle. The applications open on September of every year, September 15th. It's only once every year. If you miss the deadline, you have to apply again next year. Okay. You have an application. Now, what does the application consist of? It consists of your scores. So your Step 1 score, Step 2 CK score, and right now the OET score that you need to have before September 15th. You need to have 3 letters of recommendation that you yield from rotations you do in the US. So the main problem the US people have with Indians coming over is that we sort of don't know the system there, right? So we have to be in the US, rotate for a while, rotate under a professor in the US, gain a letter of recommendation recommending us for a residency program, and that has to be attached to our application. So these are the two main components to it. And in addition, you need your medical school transcript, your medical school performance evaluation, which are kind of minor details, but they still count. And of course, there is research, which is becoming more and more important. It's not crucial, but it is really good to have. So just a quick overview, IMGs and US residency. About 60% of non-US IMGs match, and that trend has only been increasing over the past 5 years. So we're definitely looking good. Of all the specialties that IMGs match into, about half of the people go into medicine. So 51% go into medicine, and the rest are segregated to the smaller specialties like family medicine. Only 5% of the graduates match into neurology. And of course, they prefer matching into internal medicine and family medicine, but there are certain barriers to matching the more into the specialties as opposed to internal medicine and primary care, which we'll be talking about shortly. So these are important factors for us as scientists that we need to look out for. So the most important factor right here is the very first one, which is the scores. It's always scores. As things stand, the USMLEs are still reported in a 3-digit score pattern, and you get a centile. So the better your score is, the better chances you have of getting into the US system, because it is the same exam that an IMG and a US graduate takes. So in the program director's mind, when he's recruiting a doctor into a residency program, it's always nice to know where international medical graduate lies with respect to US parts. Those are most important. There's of course US clinical experience, letters of recommendation, and a few things that we'll be going over. So I like to look at it as a pyramid, the base of which is formed by the scores. So the scores are basically 70% of your application going up onwards. So historically, step 1 scores were reported in a 3-digit fashion, anywhere between 200 to a 270, 270 being the 99th centile, and the 200 or 196 being the pass as things stand. But as we know, step 1 is going pass or fail, much like the PLAB one, and we'll be discussing the implications of that as well. So since it's established that scores are very important, I'm just going to give you a quick outline of how to study for step 1 and how to ace the exam. Just to reiterate the importance of scores, you see the non-US IMG sections here. For internal medicine, the average score was 237 for a non-US IMG, which is at the 80th centile or so. And as you can imagine, not a very easy score to achieve. And over here, you see a graph of the program directors listing the factors that are important while they select candidates for an interview. And you can see right here, up right on the top, 91% of the program directors thought the step 1 score was important, and 93 thought step 2 CK scores. So it is important. Definitely put some time into preparing for your exams. And just to give a brief outline of how to prepare for the exam, this USMLE step 1 covers the basic science subjects. So basically most of the subjects you do in your first and second year, and there's a little bit of biostatistics involved as well, but it's not too hard. It's definitely doable, especially with the foundation that Amrita gives us. Ideally, you should take it at the end of your second year, but 90% of the Indian graduates don't. They end up taking it in the internship, which is also fine. So, if you started your journey late, it's absolutely fine. You can even take the USMLE anytime after, even up to 2 years after your graduation. It takes about 7 to 9 months to prepare, and there are certain gold standard materials that everyone uses, most graduates use. It's very high yield, and those are materials I also recommend that everyone attending this talk use. So the first one is the first aid for USMLE. It's a 700-page book, extremely dense, extremely condensed. I recommend you do at least 4 passes of this, because it's important to basically memorize everything about this book, because that's how high yield this is. It's the most popular resource. Everyone uses it. There's no getting around not using it. It's like, taking a medicine exam without reading through Davidson's or something. So that is the very first thing. The second thing is a question bank. It's called UWorld, which is also just as high yield as first aid, if not higher in yield. The step one question bank as of now is about 2,300 questions or so. And I recommend you go through everything at least twice. And the highest yield in the UWorld is that you look at the explanations for the answer as opposed to actually seeing why you got the answer wrong, or even if you get an answer right, you have to see why you got it right. And that's when you really gain on your information. So yes, this is how you go through the UWorld at 2,300 questions times 2. It can get hard, and there will be times when you pick something which you think which seems so absurd at the time, and everyone else got it right, but it'll take its time. You have to go through UWorld many times. There's no way around it. There are also board and beyond videos, which are a gold standard for USMLE preparation as well. I would definitely recommend using them. It's available online. It's a paid resource, but definitely worth it. Of course, this Pathoma for just only for pathology. So the highest yield for USMLE is basically pathology and physiology, and an integration of the subjects. So unlike NEET and maybe PLAB, the USMLE does not test hardcore subjects. So they don't want to know what stain you use for whatever bacteria it is. It's the interplay between, say, microbiology, pharmacology, and physiology that is highest yield for the USMLE. And I would definitely recommend everyone use Pathoma at least twice, if not more. And that's the preparation phase. Now, how do you know whether you're well prepared for the exam or not? You have to take assessments. So there are two main assessments everyone uses for the MLE, which are the NBMEs. It's a paid resource. It's available online. I can share the link with you after this talk. And of course, as a part of the UWorld question bank, there are also UWorld self-assessments that you can take, which give you a predicted 3-digit score. And I recommend that as soon as you hit your predicted 3-digit score, just go ahead and take the exam, because there is no set date for you to take the USMLE. It's completely flexible. You decide when you want to take the exam, which of course makes it harder because you don't have a deadline to work towards, right? So take the self-assessments. When you hit your peak, just go take the exam. It's as simple as that. So NBME, there are 6 NBME assessments that are available. You can check it out online. And I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the same at the end. As is the same for UWorld self-assessments, there's only 2 of them, but these are the highest yield in terms of self-assessments, and I would recommend you do that as well. These are some of the other resources that people use for step 1. As you know, there are a lot of resources that are available. Not all of them are very high yield, so I would still recommend you stick to the first 4 and then just supplement your weaker subjects with what is listed on what is listed over here. And this is just the cherry on top of the cake. You, of course, have to stick to your UWorld, first aid, boards and beyonds, and Pathoma to easily get more than a 240 on the exam. And it's definitely doable. Again, those are the gold standard materials that you use, and you need to figure out what resources works for you pretty much in the beginning part of the journey. Now, similarly, as we know, step 1 is going pass or fail. So once it goes pass or fail, we have no idea how you perform. So a 220 would be the same as a 250, or a 50th centile would be the same as a 90th centile, much like the PLAB one. So there's no real differentiation between how someone has performed on the exam. So as things stand, we know that it is not going pass or fail before January 1st, 2022. So I recommend if someone is still in the preparing phase, just try to take the exam before that time, because I like to think of it this way. Suppose 2 people come to you, both of them say that they're extremely strong and they can lift a heavy stone, right? Now, this is the first guy and this is the second guy. Now, it's obvious that the second person is stronger than the first. By lieu of some objective metric, you can see the second stone is bigger than the first. But once it goes pass or fail, there's no knowing who's higher or who's lower on that scoring curve. So this is, I definitely recommend taking the exam before it goes pass or fail. Step 2 CK is much similar to step 1. It tests the clinical subjects. It's a slightly longer exam. It takes about 8 hours and 1 hour of break time in the middle. But 70% of your CK study material is basically your step 1 study material. So if you perform well on the step 1, you by default more or less perform well on step 2 if you put the same amount of intensity into it. you take on an average of 7 months or so to prepare for step 2 CK. So please plan your journey accordingly. Step 2 CS, as things stand, has been discontinued indefinitely. The alternative is to take the OET exam. And trust me, by the time you're done with step 1 and step 2, OET will feel like a cakewalk for you. These are the resources that you can use for step 2 CK. But in my experience, once you're done with step 1 and you've done reasonably well, you will be able to you'll be able to tackle most of the step 2 CK questions. Now, about US clinical experience, it is important for an IMG to go rotate in the US for a while to understand how the system works, because there's a lot of implications in terms of, say, insurance and reimbursements and a lot of technicalities that we as Indian graduates don't know about. And it's important, if not crucial, to be in the US, rotate for a while, and get those letters of recommendation so that you can include it in your application when you eventually apply. Now, how to get it? Email. Just email as many people you know, as many doctors you know, if you have any relatives. Reach out to your professors. I know for a fact that many of the professors in Amrita are very, very well connected. You can always reach out to them, email them, see and ask if you can come over for a month or two to learn from them. Be active in social media. That's the big thing now. Create a LinkedIn profile, create a Twitter profile, follow all these American societies and see what they're going. And that's how you get the opportunities to contact and get clinical experience and researching opportunities. There are, of course, paid services. If you can afford it, you can definitely go for it. If you have no other option, do consider paying for it as well. At the end of which, you gain letters of recommendation. These letters of recommendation should be written by someone who has overseen you directly in the US. Ideally, if it's a hospital or a university letterhead, that's all the more better. But a letter of recommendation is a crucial part of your application. Without it, your application is incomplete. It will not get looked at, and you will not get interviews because of it. So letters of recommendation are absolutely crucial as far as your application is concerned. Research, yes. Research is not crucial, at least in terms of an internal medicine applicant. There have been people who have matched without research. But if you're going into a specialty, say I applied to neurology, neurology being a slightly more academic specialty, does want to see your commitment in terms of research. So I was fortunate to get a few publications under the mentorship of Dr. Marva, our principal. And he really helped me out with a lot of research related things. So it is good to have. If you don't have research, not too bad, but if you have it, it definitely boosts your profile by maybe 2 or 3 times. So consider being involved in research. At this point in time, it's okay even if you have case reports or review articles, it's absolutely fine. Just try to be among the first 3 authors when you eventually get it published. There are a lot of PubMed index journals that are available out there. Apply to them and always reach out to me or any of us at Amrita. We are more than glad to guide you through the process. And of course, work on research during medical school, make it a part of your studying curriculum. I cannot overestimate the importance of research. And at the end of the day, it always comes down to how you perform on the interview day. Be humble, be grateful. Remember that they're not trying to hire a neurologist from India. They're trying to hire a student who's eager to learn, because they're happy to teach you, but you need to show that work ethic. You need to be determined, and you need to show that you're there to learn, right? So just to reiterate this point, when programs actually do rank applicants at the end, the highlighted are a few of the characteristics of the applicant they look at, and whatever is highlighted on this graph here are what you can show on your interview day. So extremely important to be well behaved, be humble, and be very enthusiastic about your specialty on the interview day. Realize I'm almost running out of time. So after doing all this, you asked me, USMLE is 3 exams. It takes about 1.5 years to prepare for. Why should I even do it? Why should I go through the path of going through so much trouble when I can just write the NEET and maybe do the PLAB and go to the UK? And if you're anything like me, I remember being 12 years old and playing this racing car game. It was called Need for Speed, and I saw a Lamborghini, and I thought I want to drive a Lamborghini someday. So, just to touch upon it a little bit, these are the kind of compensations that you get in the US. So the reimbursement for any US physician, be it primary care or a specialty, is much more compared to the UK or Canadian counterparts. So if money is something that interests you and a good quality of life, definitely consider applying to the US and pursuing your residency there. And yes, at any point in time, don't hesitate to ask for help. We're all here to help you. We are more than happy to guide you in whatever stage in your journey is. And I'm glad to say, 6 of us Amritans matched USMLE this year, which is the highest number ever. We've never had 6 people match in the same interview cycle. And these are a few of my colleagues who matched into excellent programs this year as well. And I have put up their email over here with permission from them, of course. So please feel free to reach out to any one of us if you have any questions regarding how to go about research, how to get clinical experience, how to basically navigate the match process, and we are more than happy to help you out. And I'll just end with this, something that sticks with you at the end of the day is persistence. Not everyone is born brilliant, but persistence is what really matters at the end of the day. You have to keep at it. Sometimes, some days you don't feel like studying, some days you are just lethargic. But at the end of the day, just be very content with yourself, even if you should have that confidence that you gave your 100% at the end of the day, and that's all that matters. And trust me, there's a quote that has stuck with me through most of medical school: hard work does beat talent when talent doesn't work hard. So thank you for this opportunity. I've listed my email and phone number here. I'm also on all the social media platforms. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I will be moving to the US shortly, so I probably won't have this number, but email is the best way to reach me. Just shoot me an email and I promise I'll get back to you. So thank you very much for this opportunity. If there's any questions, I can take it now, or they can always email me. Email is better. So I think we're running a little short on time, but I am available on email, or just shoot me a text after this talk, and I'm more than happy to get on call and speak with you all. So take care. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Bharat. It was really wonderful to listen to all of you today. And all good things must come to an end. It is time to close this short reunion. Before that, I would like to invite Dr. Prem Nair to hand over the certificate of appreciation to the stars of the evening. There is a twist in it. In keeping up with the virtual reality, Dr. Prem will present the certificate to Dr. Nisha and Dr. Ajay online. Please put your hands together.
Congratulations, Dr. Nisha. Dr. Ajay Ashok.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prem Nair. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Kenal Vishal Marwa and Dr. PG Nair to hand over the certificate to Dr. Bharat Pillai. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Vishal sir, and thank you, Dr. PG Madam. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Arun Kumar K to deliver the vote of thanks. He is the Assistant Professor, Department of Emergency Medicine, and an alumnus of the Amrita School of Medicine, who did his undergraduation and post-graduation from Amrita School of Medicine. Over to you, sir.
Om Amriteshware Namaha. Thank you, Dr. Ramya, for the brief introduction. Respected Medical Director, Dr. Prem Nair, our beloved Principal, Dr. Vishal Marwa, our most valued invited guest speakers, and other ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Dr. Arun Kumar K, 2005 batch MBBS, 2014 batch MD, DNB Emergency Medicine, Amrita Alumni, Kochi. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. This alumni association is the best functionally effective media to put our hearts and minds together in order to come up with such innovative ideas to contribute to society well-being and thus fulfill our social obligations. We may be physically apart, but a platform such as Amrita Alumni Association can keep us always connected mentally and emotionally. It can help us to cherish the friendship, sharing, caring, as well as the struggles during our good old student days. In fact, a deep understanding of those days help us gaining understanding of other people. May the student within us, the thirst for knowledge, never die. May the flame of love and service always remain emblazed in our heart. And may the Amrita Alumni Association serve as a medium for us to express gratitude to all those who helped us in molding us. On behalf of the entire Amrita Alumni Association, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to the program success. At the outset, I thank our Chancellor, Sri Mata Amritanandamayi Devi, the guiding light of our university. Without her divine grace, this program would not be successfully conducted. Today's guest speakers, the beacons of Amrita Alumni, Dr. Bharat Pillai, Dr. Ajay Ashok, and Dr. Nisha George, for enlightening us with their knowledge on how to crack the national and international level postgraduate medical entrance examinations. It gave deep insights into the topic and also revealed some very interesting facts and high-yielding facts, such as importance of portfolio preparations, research publications, letters of recommendations, etc. Actually, I'm running short of words. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure the precious knowledge will definitely help our students in preparation for the future competitive exams. Once again, I would like to thank the speakers for taking out time from the busy, hectic schedules and enlightening us with their knowledge. I would like to thank the respected medical director, Dr. Prem Nair, and principal, Sir Dr. Vishal Marwa, for the unconditional support to organize and to conduct this webinar amidst all the current restrictions. I want to thank the entire Amrita Alumni faculty team led by my pharmacology teacher, Dr. PG Nair, Chief Campus Alumni Coordinator, and Dr. Princey, HOD Pharmacology, and Smita Nair, her secretary in charge of Alumni Office, who really worked hard to make this event successful. I thank my colleagues, Dr. Ramya and Dr. Devika, for taking out time from the busy clinical and academic schedules, for coordinating, conducting, and anchoring this whole event. Special appreciation to the Department of Audio Visuals and Graphics, Sterling Printers, for supporting us for the event. And also, thank you to all the students for paying your attention and learning. I would end my speech here. Thanking you. Namaskar.
Now, kindly raise for the national anthem.